Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Chisel?
Here.
Bell Richard is absent this evening. Carlson?
Here.
Luce?
Here.
Lohr?
Here.
Rustad?
Here.
Johnson?
Here. First, I want to congratulate the Carlson family for an addition to the community of Decorah.
Thank you. What'd you do? It was all my pleasure.
Did you do that by yourself?
As I recall, in 20 years, the council and also as mayor, I do not recall a council member that had a child while they were serving. So,
First.
I don't know if that has something to do with age.
Might be.
Okay, we better move on.
Thank you, Mayor.
We have approval for the agenda.
So move.
Moved by Lewis
Second.
and second by Carlson. Roll call.
Luce?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
Lohr?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Okay, the agenda has been approved. We have public comment period. Is there anyone that would like to speak to the council about any issue that's not on the agenda? You don't, I was kind of wondering if somebody wanted to speak back there, but apparently not.
You want to invite us to the breakfast in the morning or anything?
Okay, well, we're glad to have you here. Okay, we'll move on with the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the July 5th meeting. Item B is the claims. Item C is renew Class C liquor license with Sunday sales permit for corner bar pending dram shop. Item D is outdoor service area for the Hotel Winnebago. Item E is Resolution 2748, approving a recommendation for preliminary and final replat of Scenic View Estates with 8th and 6th additions. Item F is Resolution 2749, approving a recommendation for preliminary and final replat of Scenic View Estates with 9th edition. Item G is Resolution 2750, a resolution setting a hearing on plans, specs, form and contract, and estimated total cost of Division Street Storm Sewer Improvement Project and taking bids. Any questions about consent agenda?
Lindsay has a comment on
Okay.
2750.
This is the right one.
We haven't received our comments back from DOT, and so I would ask for the August 15th date.
For the
It's on the 11th, but hearing will be that council meeting.
okay.
Would you repeat that, Mayor?
Yeah, is this for
G?
item G resolution for the public hearings and plans and specs will be on the 15th of August? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, are we clear? We have a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, moved by Ristad
Second.
and second by Lohr. Roll call.
Rustad?
Aye.
Lohr?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Luce?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Okay, consent agenda has been approved. We'll now conduct a public hearing on plans and specs, form of contract, and estimating total cost of Pleasant Avenue Street project and award bid. So, we've got the information on that, Chad?
Yes, so excuse me. This is for the Pleasant Avenue Street Improvement Project. The council has been working towards this project for a while. We did receive one bid from Skyline Construction in the amount of $109,993.10 against the engineer's opinion of cost of $105,795. And Lindsay would have any comments about the quality of the bids, but I think the one bid was qualified.
Any public comment in regard to this contract? Have anything to add, Lindsay, or?
No, I'd say in general, we were very close. Their mobilization numbers probably the chief, they had some item lower and some higher. I think we're within the budget that we had set up, so I think it's acceptable.
Okay. Again, any comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion of this contract discussion and have the council consider Resolution 2751 approving plan specs, form contract petitions and waivers, estimated total cost of Pleasant Avenue Street project, and award the bid.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the bid from Skyline Construction of $109,993.10 to Skyline for the Pleasant Avenue Street project.
Okay, motion by Ristad, supported by Lohr. Any discussion? Roll call.
Rustad?
Aye.
Lohr?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Luce?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Okay, bid approved. Consider Ordinance 1189, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinance of the City of Decorah by creating a stormwater utility for the City of Decorah. This is the first reading of this ordinance. Have there been any, maybe a little more background here, Chad, and had any comments?
Yep, and City Hall has not received comments, written or verbal, regarding the introduction of this ordinance. As we've discussed, this is the creation of a stormwater management plan and a stormwater management utility. It effectively assesses a stormwater service charge to each property in the city under the terms outlined in the ordinance, essentially $3 for each residential unit, $5 for small commercial units with less than 7,000 square feet impervious coverage, $10 for large commercial units more than 7,000 square feet, and $20 for each industrial unit larger. Agricultural lots or uses would be exempt. It does provide for some quantity reduction and quality reduction credits based on best practices for stormwater management. Again, we've talked about this several different times, so I would just ask if the council has any questions. Again, there's been no comments or questions received at City Hall about this. So.
How does it work if a property owner has a side lot that they have that sits there? Do they pay for two lots, or do they just pay for the house that has the water connection?
Just for the water connection, that would be considered an undeveloped lot to the side, and wouldn't have any impervious
No roofs.
square footage, no roofs or concrete, right?
Okay, council, move with this.
I would just further follow up that staff spent a fair amount of time with the University of Iowa Institute for Sustainable Communities in the last year, reviewing stormwater management practices in our community. There were several recommendations coming out of that study, one of which is adopting a management plan and a management utility. So this follows their guidance and recommendation.
And to point out too, Chad, just to add to that, that the overwhelming feeling from the poll that they did with the residents of Decorah was that they were in favor. A majority of the residents were in favor of this.
Right.
It's also hopefully going to protect our infrastructure and property in town. And I think it's a long time coming. We found documentation that they've been trying to fix this in the early 80s. So it's decades in the making, so it's about time, I think, that we do something about it. So with that being said, I'll make a motion for approval of Ordinance 1189.
Okay, motion by Carlson, second by Lewis. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Carlson?
Aye.
Luce?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
Lohr?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Okay, the first reading approved on that ordinance. Item 9 is consider accepting a USDA grant for telecommunications utility feasibility study and authorizing the mayor to sign. Again, this is a grant of $11,500. A couple of comments, Chad? Or?
The committee for Fast Fiber, or the Fast Fiber Committee, I think technically their name is Committee for Fast Fiber, in their pledge to the council to try to raise at least 50% of the cost of a feasibility study, commissioned the writing of a grant to the USDA under the Rural Opportunities Funds, and they were successfully awarded the $11,500 like the mayor said. So this action would accept that grant award and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
Move to accept.
Okay, motion by Lewis for acceptance.
Second.
And second by Carlson. Any other questions? Roll call.
Luce?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Lohr?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Okay, that's approved. Item 10 is consider professional services agreement with Erdman Engineering for fiscal 17 general engineering services. Questions or explanation?
I'd set this one up too, Mayor. Yeah, thanks. This is basically a scope of work agreement for Erdman Engineering between the city and Erdman Engineering for those day-to-day or general engineering services that we engage from time to time. And how we set this up is just simply using the numbers that are budgeted for general engineering within each of the budget centers, whether it be RUT or water or sewer, general fund. We simply took those amounts that we've budgeted there, generally speaking, and put those into a scope of services agreement so that we're better able to track our work throughout the year.
Okay. Council.
I'll make a motion we approve.
Okay, motion by Lohr.
Second.
And seconded by Luce. You had my hearing. Any questions? Roll call.
Lohr?
Aye.
Luce?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Okay, approved. Consider a professional service agreement with Erdman Engineering for Division Street Stormwater Improvement Project.
This is the same type of document, Mayor, but it is for project specific. It's for the stormwater project along Centrum Drive and Division Street, and it would follow with the agreement under item number 12 that's coming next on the agenda, but just sets the parameters for the scope of work and a cost for design and construction of $30,600.
Okay, what's the council's?
I'd move the agreement.
Okay, motion by Lewis,
Second.
second by Carlson. Questions? Roll call.
Luce?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Lohr?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Okay, carried. Consider this cooperative agreement with the Iowa DOT for Division Street Stormwater Improvement Project.
This outlines the scope of work for making repairs and improvements along Division Street at Centrum for the stormwater system in that right-of-way for Highway 9. It's a cooperative agreement with the Iowa DOT. There's two work elements, two divisions of the project, an east component and a west component. The east component would be 100% DOT work, and they would pay all of those costs. The west section is a 50-50 cost share between the city and the DOT. The total project is estimated at around $176,000, with the DOT holding approximately $114,000 of that, and the city responsible for around $62,000. Of course, under the consent agenda, you just set the public hearing and bid specifications for that. So whatever those actual bids come in, if you accept the project and award the bids, would be liable for those same cost shares under that cost. So this is a service agreement, a cooperative agreement with the Iowa Department of Transportation for that work.
That's been dug up for some time there, right?
It has been dug up for some time. City crews dug that up to do some exploratory work. We saw some failures in the storm drain, or the storm piping along that area. And it's corrugated metal piping in most of that, and a lot of the bottom is rusted out.
So support here?
I'll make a motion to enter into a cooperative agreement with the Iowa Department of Transportation for the Division Street Storm Sewer Project.
Okay, motion by Ristad, supported by Lohr. Any other questions? Roll call.
Rustad?
Aye.
Lohr? Aye. Chisel?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Luce?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye. Okay, approved. Consider the site lease agreement with Gunderson Lutheran Administrative Services for use of the municipal property and buildings. This is the helicopter. And maybe you could explain both that item and the next one at the same time, Chad?
I can do that. And there's one slight change, I think, to, if you have a copy of the site lease in your packet. This is a lease between the City of Decorah and Gunderson Lutheran Administrative Services, which is the organization that administers the Metalink medical helicopter that's currently based at the airport, under a trial or temporary lease for the helicopter to be based at the airport for up to a 6-month period of time at $500 per month. The lease is basic and would cover liability and those types of things, and gives them the authority to base their aircraft there during this trial basis. I'd point out that if they deem this trial period successful, that they would consider permanently basing the aircraft there, which is a pretty big deal, not only in the eyes of the FAA and having this type of aircraft based at the airport, but it could mean the construction of a corporate hangar or some other amenities that they may need to have this aircraft based there. The second item, because of this, they have they're using the pilot's lounge, or the terminal there, as a secure area for their pilots and medical team. And of course they have some equipment that needs to be secured. And so we're still required to provide some space for our pilots and transient pilots that come through. And that's the next item on the agenda here, is to provide for lease of a mobile office trailer to accommodate our pilots that come through. It's basically a zero-sum game with Gunderson paying the $500 a month lease. For all practical purposes, pays for the trailer and accommodations. So I'd ask the council to consider those two items separately.
Okay. How about the administrative services? So, have a motion on that?
I'll make a motion for approval of the lease agreement with Gunderson Lutheran Administrative Services.
Okay, motion by Carlson.
Second.
And supported by Lohr. Any further discussion?
At the open house by the Airport Commission, talking to the pilot, or the nurse that was up, actually, he said chances are it could be just within 3 months they would know if it was really logistically good, saying that they had one northeast at Salem and one southwest here, and in the little time they'd had the one at Salem, it's already proving invaluable in terms of cutting response time to the clientele in that area. So they were thinking it would probably be very indicative of success here.
Okay, we have a roll call here.
Carlson?
Aye.
Lohr?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Luce?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye. Okay, that part's carried. Okay, consider the lease with William Scott for the mobile office at the municipal airport.
I'd move that.
Okay, moved by Luce.
Second.
Second by Carlson. Again, any questions? Roll call.
Luce?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Lohr? Aye. Rustad?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye. Motion carried. Now down to considering the lease for and purchase of the parking lot at 406 West Main Street, known as the Focadol parking lot. We're up for discussion.
I would suggest that as this is a agenda item for the property committee that is being held after the council's done, that we just simply ask for a 1-month continuation of the rent in a letter to Mr. Focadol so that we can actually talk it through at the meeting later. So I would move that we write to Mark requesting a 1-month extension of the rental agreement.
Well, there's a motion. Is there any support for that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, the support came from Johnson for delaying 1 month.
Steve, just clarification, same terms?
Same terms, yeah.
Okay, is there discussion on this?
I think it just needs to be done so that the property committee meeting can be held and an open discussion be considered of the issue.
Okay. Roll call?
Luce?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
Lohr?
No.
Chisel?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Okay, carried on dissent vote. So the discussion will be this evening, right?
Yeah, correct. After this.
Okay, we're down to reports. I have a city manager report.
I have 2 items to share with the council this evening, Your Honor. Number 1, I would like to inform the council that our city forester, Drew Stevenson, has resigned his position, and we are discussing as a staff how to proceed, consulting with the mayor. So we'll just kind of keep you posted on how that progresses. There are some ideas for kind of redefining or reorganizing, and as those become more clear, we'll keep you posted on that, but wanted to let you know of the resignation at this time. And then secondly, I wanted to give you an update on the residential tax abatement program through 50% of the year. And we have had 8 units through June in new residential construction at approximately $3.5 million in total valuation, and 5 residential addition permits pulled for $340,000. It was about $3.9 million at 50%, again 50% of this calendar year, and that compares to all of 2015, where we had a total of 12 units for $3.9 million and 9 additions for $630,000, $5.2 million for all of last year. So we're on pace maybe to be a little bit better than last year, but it has been slow in the last month or 2 in terms of new permits coming in, but still doing pretty well.
Do you know when lots are sold, or is it just when they come get a permit to build?
Generally just when the permits come in to build. We may be aware that lots are selling, but we don't necessarily track that, and there would be no reason for a property owner to let us know that.
I heard a very good comment that in one of the additions, 18 lots have been sold. I can't verify that, but that'd be good news if that's the case.
Do you have any sense, Chad, of those 8 new units, if 50% are new to Decorah, or I don't expect you to know this, I'm just wondering if you have a sense.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking down the names here, and there's a couple of names that I recognize from being local. I'd have to do a little more research on whether some of these folks came from in town or out of town.
Thanks.
Anything else, Chad?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any reports from department heads?
Yeah, I'd like to just, if anybody's had a chance to walk up to Court Street, the street department did a project up there replacing some of the brick. We had done the curb the previous year, and then we had to replace the brick this year. I just want to thank John Holmes and Josh Bjork from the street crew. That it was a big task to get all those bricks in, with the help of Normie Bohr and Pete Meyer. kind of taught them how to do it, and hopefully now in the future we can do some more to get rid of some of the bumps.
It's a nice job.
In light of everything that's been going on in our country in the last weeks and months, I just wanted to take this opportunity to publicly thank, on behalf of myself and my family, our local law enforcement officers for everything they do for us each day. The Winchester County Sheriff's Department, our Decorah Police Department. These men and women often respond to calls each day that have the potential to turn violent at any moment, and they may have seconds or less to decide what action to take to ensure they go home to their families and those who love them. So anyway, I want to thank you, all of you, for everything you do.
As I mentioned maybe a couple council meetings ago, the water department conducted our lead and copper testing for the city of Decorah here first week of June. Last week we received the results back, and we're required to, out of the samples we take, we're required to have 90% of those samples pass. And of the copper testing, all 100% of them passed, well below the limit. And out of the lead samples, 95% of them passed. There was one test that didn't pass, and it was grossly over. We have since talked to the homeowner and discovered it was a major sampling error. So we have talked to the DNR, and today received permission to resample that, which we have already done, and it's on its way to the lab right now. And when that comes back, that will be resubmitted for our last sample. So we anticipate that, because in previous years there has been no lead issue whatsoever in that home. So we're happy to report that.
Anything else? Anything from the library, Lorraine?
This summer we have been fortunate to be able to participate with the school system on their third grade reading immersion program that they had this summer. They came to the library 2 times in a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. It was fun having them. I did hear back from a grandparent that said that her grandson hadn't really read at all and was enjoying reading and starting to get into reading books, so that's been successful. Just on a lighter note, I've heard that the library is a very popular site for the new Pokemon phase. Now, I haven't figured out how to make any money on that, but I'll continue to work on that. So.
Thanks, Larry. Council members?
Nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Nothing this time.
Okay.
Just wanted to advise the council, there's a Winchester Energy breakfast in the morning, and their presenter is under the weather that they had planned on, so it's going to be an open discussion. So we're hoping to have some discussion about City of Decorah and the possibilities for solar and utilizing that.
Chuck?
As of last council meeting, we announced safety meeting for Tuesday. It's, I'm trying to get to the time, 6:30? That's
tomorrow. Tomorrow?
6:30, and it'll be rural, but also the DNR will be up on the deer depletion. I have since learned that certification, or the training for certifying the bow hunters, we're getting pushed a little bit, so they're in a hurry to try to get procedures put together, because we're less than 2 months for the beginning of bow season on deer. So I know the DNR is a little anxious. So have your questions. I encourage everybody to attend. I'd like to have the police department sit in on it. I'll try to ask Dan or somebody from the sheriff's department so that you're in the loop and understand if you have any questions too. So 6:30 tomorrow.
Okay, Gary?
Just a reminder that we do have, following Steve's property meeting, we'll have a short street committee meeting. There's one item on there that I probably won't be talking about, and that's basically outdoor outside dining area that we've been talking about. Basically, we're trying to set up a meeting for the first week of August in cooperation with the Chamber, Betterment, possibly SMID, and then City Council. So that's when we'll be discussing that, the outdoor seating area potential.
Thank you.
What time is the fire truck here tomorrow?
Should be here by about 1 or 1:30, and be here through the afternoon, early evening. It should be here for the meeting.
I have 3 items. One, there's vacancies coming up, or at least there are some present vacancies. One on planning and zoning needs to be filled. And then we have vacancies also on the Human Rights Commission and Historic Preservation. Do want to mention the fest, which at least 2 of our council members are strongly involved in, but the new 50th book is out. Too bad Darren isn't here, because I think between Darren and his sister they made a sizable amount of accomplishment by being historian, and Dawn and with her team of people working on this have really worked very hard on it. So next week already is the fest. So the book will be available. There, I didn't realize there at least even a past chairman of the Nordic Fest, Mr. Lohr, served in that capacity too. So he gets his mention in the book too. So they all are recognized here. Chief Nixon has completed the report, which I think most of you have gotten. There are extras here if some people would like to pick that up. I did in here check on the deer, how many were killed, and actually it looks like the trend is down. If you looked at it as far as deer kills, now maybe they're not all being reported. And just to follow up on what Wanda said, I was going to mention too that to thank our police, and it certainly has been a very challenging time for our police. One of the statistics, of course, that maybe most people know this, but nationwide there were 62 law officers killed in the line of duty this last year, and 28 of those were by gunfire. And we may think that we're not having a potential, but I know our police chief a number of years back was knifed, and so things can happen, and we need to be aware of that and certainly respect and the kinds of things that our law enforcement people do. So with that, I'd have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Okay, our meeting is adjourned.